What a way to cliffhanger this episode. That was nasty. That was a nasty way to kind of conclude this episode, because I'm sitting here watching the episode, drinking my cup of coffee, I'm getting into the episode, I get to see, Bond and his father make up and all that, and get a little bit more information about the Impure King. Then I get to this epic part at the end, I get to see Yukio going up against Toto, and I'm like, holy shit, this is happening, and then the episode ends, and I'm like, fuck. So, the Yukio scene is something I have been sensing since I started Blue Exorcist. I'm not talking about Season 2. I'm talking about Season 1. It's something I know eventually had to be tackled. It's something that's going to become a major plot point of the series. I don't know if it continues to become a major plot point of the manga, because I know the manga goes way past what the anime is going to do for Season 2 of Blue Exorcist. However, this is something I knew that it was going to have to be tackled if Yukio was ever going to get character development / characterization, because of what type of relationship he has with our MC Rin. As we know, Rin, Yukio, brothers and all that. Obviously, one brother is gifted with the blue flames, while the other one is not, and he's like a standard exorcist. And because of this, we do know that Yukio has always been in the spotlight, to where he's like the lesser of the, the two brothers. Like, he's someone that's not strong, or he's someone that was just raised to be like a tool, or someone that was used to just make sure that Rin is fine or protected. And I knew this eventually was going to have to be a big central plot point, something that was going to really drive the plot in the future, because Yukio is very important. As a centerpiece of the series, he's a very important character because of his relationship with the MC, and there is a very likely possibility, before everything is said and done in this series, that Yukio could succumb to the dark side. For instance, become a demon, someone that might join Satan or whatever to gain power. Something like this might happen because of his personality. It's been stated many times, and even in Season 2 of Blue Exorcist, that he is someone that could easily succumb to darkness, someone that could easily be manipulated and corrupted because of the type of personality he has, but also his relationship with his brother. It is something that's very complicated, and we know this is something that has bugged Yukio for such a long time. We know he cares about his brother, but we do know he has this type of complex about him. He's someone that actually has this problem within himself, where he's constantly questioning, why am I doing this? Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to be an exorcist? Am I just here to protect my brother or whatever? We know he's questioned this. We've sensed it many times over throughout the series of Blue Exorcist, and I'm glad to finally see this coming, to the main front and center of the series, because it has to be tackled for Yukio to get character development. Now, the main question is what type of direction is Yukio going to choose? Because normal shonen manga, I'm not saying this is a normal shonen manga, because there is some differences here from regular shonen manga when it comes to Blue Exorcist. I'm just saying normal shonen manga, or even actually some writers' perspectives, actually doesn't even need to be centered around shonen manga, but regular writing would dictate that it would be a smart idea to make maybe Yukio evil, or turn him evil for a little while to see the other side, and allow him to understand what is wrong with that, and then realize what, he's been doing all his life actually has purpose and meaning. And so I would honestly think that Yukio is probably going to succumb to an eviler side and not be what he once was, because that's generally what would happen in writing. Now, I'm not just saying in shonen, but usually in any type of writing, unless he has this iron will that pops up and he just wants to resist it, and he'll continue doing what he's doing because he believes it's right, which would be completely fine too for the character. But usually I would expect him to go over and become a darker version of himself, which that's what it looks like is going on, because Toto's getting into his mind and manipulating him, which those are the type of villains I really love in anime or manga, or any form of literature, honestly, because I love villains that could just get under the skin of characters, and they don't necessarily need to be all-powerful, someone that's like the in-game villain. I just love villains that are able to just get inside the mind of characters and fuck with them, just, jumble around their brain a little bit, to where they're like questioning what's their purpose in life, what do they do, what's their meaning of even being here. I just love villains that make them question about themselves and bring out the darker side of the character, because that's what a villain should do. That is exactly what an antagonist should do. Besides just being evil, besides being like the main nemesis of the MC, I feel like a villain also should bring out the darker aspects of a character, because no matter how good you are, there's still darkness inside of you, and we do know that Yukio has a lot of darkness inside of him. Even though he seems pure, he does have darkness dwelling deep within him, and so this character, Toto, to drag this out of Yukio, I love that. That's characters I love in any form of writing. Someone that could really just bring out these aspects that make a character just question everything they know about their life. And even though it would seem that it would be easier just to say, like, hey, you know, you shouldn't fall for this or whatever, why are you letting them manipulate you? That's an easy thing to say. But sometimes characters like this that could just eat at you, get at these little things about you, strike a chord, and just mess with you, that is what makes it so fascinating, because you get to see the character just ripped apart and see what's really inside, what they're truly made of, and that's what we have here, what's going on with Yukio and going on with Toto when they're, you know, having their little fight. It's not mainly just about the action in this fight, it's actually about the message of this fight, what is going on here, and what this means for Yukio as a character, because in all honesty, I don't really care who's going to win this fight. I don't care if Toto or Yukio wins. I'm going to assume Yukio is going to win. That's just my general assumption, unless Toto, he hurts Yukio and then he just fucking leaves. That's also a possibility. I honestly don't think Yukio is gonna die. Honestly, he's too important to the plot. Like, there's just no way the writer would kill Yukio off because of what type of connection he has with the MC Rin, so it would just feel like a waste if he was killed off here. So I think he's completely fine. However, I feel like this fight is going to open the door for Yukio finally coming to terms with whatever is inside of him. For instance, maybe his eviler side, or maybe he might fully accept and just say there's nothing wrong with the way I've been living. One or the other is going to happen here, and I feel like this is the start of the very rough and bumpy road for Yukio's character, so I can't wait to see what direction the writer of the series took his character after this point on. So with that being said, let's talk about the situation with Bon and his father, Suguro. So Bon and Suguro, they have a bonding moment, no pun intended, in this episode, and they finally make up, which really healed my soul. I'm like, yes, I'm glad this happened, because I was really hoping that these two characters would make up and we wouldn't have the same tragedy to what happened with Rin and his foster father, because we know, as I've said many times right now, Rin carries that weight with him all the time now, because he actually feels really bad for how his father died, and because of this, he didn't want Bon and Suguro to go through the exact same thing, and I personally didn't either, and I'm glad to see that Bon and Suguro were able to kind of make up, and even if Suguro dies, let's just say he dies next week, at the very least, they made up, and they are at peace with each other. Like, they're no longer at odds to where they hate each other, or the father's just, you know, trying to hide something, while the son, you know, hates him. I'm glad they both got to talk with each other, and at the very least, it seems like the father, if he is going to die, could die in peace. Which, I don't assume the father's gonna die now, judging by how his wounds were healed. And yes, he's losing blood, or whatever, and also, yes, he is weak, and his immune system is weakened thanks to the Impure King, but I don't think necessarily that's going to be what kills him. So I think the father's probably going to be completely okay. I just do not think he's going to die now because of everything that's been set up with this episode, and in all honesty, I just feel like right now, if killing off his character after, you know, him being saved by the Phoenix, his powers and stuff, I just don't think it would be right. I just don't think that's a possibility right now for him to be killed off. So I feel like he'll be completely fine. However, the situation with the Impure King is pretty damn drastic, because holy shit, like, the Impure King, it really just throws into perspective of how powerful it is, because this creature is just kind of like a servant to the main, like, Rot, like the Rot King or whatever that we found out in this episode. It was just kind of like a servant, but regardless, though, it's incredibly powerful. It could cause a disaster-like calamity, and that is insane. But on top of this, though, back in the past, if I'm correct, I think the number was, like, the Impure King killed 400,000, I think that's the right number. It killed 400,000 people in ancient, you know, Japan. And at first glance, that doesn't seem like a whole lot when you think about the grand scheme of things of people nowadays on Earth. But you gotta remember, back in the past, in ancient days of Japan or all around the world, there wasn't that many people. There barely was that many people. And having 400,000 people around in one place was fucking ridiculous. It was. And so when you factor in how old Japan was at the time, and you factor in how many people were centered in Japan, it's like, damn, killing 400,000 people, that's insane. And if that was to be used in modern day Japan, if that creature, Impure King, was to come out and just attack people, millions would die. Hundreds of millions would die. Easily die because of the power of the Impure King. So that just goes to throw in perspective of how dangerous this creature is if it's let out. So the conflict and the danger of the situation is definitely there. There is definitely threat in this. If the Impure King breaks out and hatches or whatever, comes out of that little pod, it's fucking over. It's completely over for a good long while because a lot of people are going to die. Now, right now, Bon and Rin, they're going on their journey to try to stop this. Bon's going to be using a barrier to kind of hold it in, while Rin's going to be going in and using his power to chop its heart in half. Which the thing is that he has to cut open, like, the egg that's going to be bringing out the Impure King that's going to be killing everyone if it does escape. So, they only have one shot at this. If they fuck up, everybody's dead. But they have to open it up. That's the only way to damage it. So, holy crap. Can Rin do it? Can he open his sword that he somehow cannot open at all? Like, he cannot open it, and so it's completely stuck. So the question is, will he be able to save the day or do anything because he can't open his Koma sword at all? So I'll have to see where the story goes because of this. Overall, a very solid episode of Blue Exorcist, and I can't wait to see where it's going to go after this episode. I love you all so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.